From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, June 1st. It's going to be a front moving in, slowly passing through the state today. Some rain and storms could develop ahead of that line. Highs are set to be a little bit cooler with numbers in the upper 70s to mid 80s, but just keep in mind that there is a chance for those storms later this afternoon. Officers say a loud party ended in gunfire overnight. It happened just after midnight on Wolfgang Drive on the southeast side. Officers say they found one person shot, but that's not when the chaos ended. Our crews that were there on the scene say they saw officers detain one woman there when she wouldn't stop yelling expletives at officers. We're told the person shot is stable at the hospital. A response to comments about the Uvalde school shooting has people in Zionsville talking and a mayor defending her actions. Emily Styron made her opinion very clear on Facebook, punctuating her point with profanity. A Zionsville business made a post on Facebook about how people should support candidates who support change. One man replied saying, "It's a mental illness problem. Can't get rid of the guns. Criminals don't care," among a few other opinions. That set Styron off, and she replied to that man in a profanity-laced comment, partially reading, "I am so sick and tired of the stupid, useless rhetoric by Jack Blanks like you when it comes to gun regulation." The man that was directed to says he's not mad, but says that her methods are not effective.
It rolls off my back to a point where I don't live there, I don't vote there, it's not my town. But as a human being, it's highly offensive and should be to anybody. And it certainly speaks to the fact that we understand now why things don't get done. No more desire to work with the other side than anything. It's sad.
No, we can't do that. It's not within our trying to mansplain how there's no way we can ever make this happen. I'm tired of listening to folks like that. If you don't believe that we can get sensible gun legislation enacted, then move over because we're going to elect someone who can.
Mayor Styron tells News 8 that she hopes her strong choice of words catches people's attention. She adds that her comments should not reflect the town of Zionsville or the people who live there. She says they were comments made using her personal Facebook account, not her official page. Investigators in Uvalde are now working to learn why a door failed to lock when shut as designed. State police now say earlier police reports were wrong and that the shooter did not get in through a door that was propped open. They now believe a teacher had propped the door open earlier and closed it when the shooter was first spotted outside the school. But the door did not lock as it was supposed to, and the shooter got inside. And funerals for the victims have started. There were services for 4 children and 1 teacher yesterday. Many of the victims will be buried in custom caskets provided by a Texas company at no cost to the families. 2 local funeral homes have also vowed to cover other expenses.
When that casket closes and that they lower it down, for me, it's the realization that you won't be able to touch them again. One more hug, one more kiss, one more goodbye.
President Biden says he'll meet with members of Congress to search for common ground on possible gun reform laws. And a House committee is preparing to vote on gun control legislation tomorrow. It's called the Protecting Our Kids Act. The bill would raise the legal age to buy a semi-automatic rifle from 18 to 21. It also would establish a new federal offense for importing, selling, manufacturing, transferring, or possessing a large capacity magazine. It'll be difficult for the package to overcome a Republican-led filibuster in the Senate, though. A bipartisan group of senators did meet yesterday, though it's far from clear if that effort will amount to anything. A major pandemic program is over. Emergency food stamp benefits have expired. When COVID-19 restrictions first started, the federal government let states suspend most eligibility rules, so families on the SNAP program automatically got the maximum monthly benefit. That ended on the last day of May. We spoke to the executive director at the Midwest Food Bank's Indiana branch. She says if you think you'll need help, start searching now.
How many different local organizations have distributed food and on what days? And then they can connect with those organizations on the days that they are open. And there'll be a variety of organizations, times, and accessible food to help them make their ends meet.
And if you do need help or want to offer help, go to our website, wishtv.com. You'll find this story in the As Seen on Wish TV section at the very top of the page, and it has links to several community resources. To iTeam 8 now, and the new response to a story called one of the largest financial scams in Indiana history. A man who claims he was one of Tim Durham's thousands of victims says he hopes Durham rots in jail. Durham is in court this week, hoping a judge will overturn his 50-year prison sentence. Don Russell says he and his wife invested and lost some $350,000 in Durham's scheme. He says he'd also encouraged his mother to invest $125,000 of her money in Durham's fair financial business, and she has since passed.
I would be so consumed by something for so long. And as I said, I know by not turning loose of it, it's affected my health. I was a healthy guy for a lot of years. I ran and been working out, but I'm to the point now where I can't hardly walk across the room without being out of breath. And I attribute all this to him. I'd like to thank you very much, Tim, for really affecting my world.
Russell also tells IT Mate that his family has recovered less than $40,000 from Durham and his partners. Federal prosecutors say Durham used the money that these people invested to fund a lavish lifestyle. And today, a big traffic change at a busy part of town. Indigo Cruise will shut down 38th and Keystone for Purple Line construction. According to Indigo officials, the south portion of Keystone Avenue at 38th Street will be shut down for 10 days for roadway improvements. North and southbound traffic will not be allowed through the intersection. Instead, drivers will need to take a detour using 46th Street, Sherman Drive, and 34th Street. Indigo routes 4, 26, and 39 will now be detoured around the closure with the addition of some temporary stops. Eastbound lanes of 38th from Fall Creek Parkway to Keystone will stay closed through mid-August. Oil prices are surging, signaling even higher gas prices. Brent crude July contracts closed at more than $122 a barrel, the highest price in 3 months. Futures for the next month are now rising. The increases come after the European Union's decision to halt 90% of its imports of Russian oil by the end of the year. Right now, Gas Buddy says America's average price for gasoline is at $4.67 a gallon, and Indiana is well above that national mark. Gas Buddy says the state average is now at $4.80 a gallon, 20 cents more than the day before, and 3 cents more than just earlier this morning, 12th highest in the country. So our crews drove around Indianapolis overnight and found prices ranging from $4.69 to $4.89 a gallon. Some counties in the northwest corner of the state have already crossed a pricey milestone. Lake and Porter counties are averaging just more than $5 a gallon. Engineers at Purdue University are hoping that newly developed technology could help prevent potholes. Professor Luna Liu is leading the effort. She spoke with our Phil Sanchez last night on Unfiltered to explain the advantages of the technology and how it could save drivers money in the long run.
So as you know, the potholes in the United States has a cost on average about $600 per driver per year. So therefore, it's a very big problem, right? To address that, we developed a sensor that can be directly embedded in the road to understand the strength of the material at any given moment. So therefore, there's 3 advantages. One is we can cut the frequent repair and of the fixing the potholes. The number 2 is we can extend the lifetime of the road and the pavement. And the number 3 is we can open the traffic earlier when we have construction.
Liu says the university is working with INDOT and at least 8 other states to test the technology. The testing phase in Indiana started in 2019 and is expected to be complete later this year. Today, President Biden meets virtually with major baby formula manufacturers. They'll talk about the effort to speed up production and ramp up efforts through Operation Fly Formula. Several national retailers say the shortage is still making it hard to keep products on the shelves. CVS says it's keeping its 3-product purchase limit in place. Kroger is limiting purchases to 4 per customer. Researchers have a warning for people who take Paxlovid for COVID-19. They say you may be contagious for more days than most people with the virus. Researchers say people who take Paxlovid can have symptom-free relapse of COVID and can transmit the virus during that second bout. The CDC says the rebound happens 2 to 8 days after initial recovery. The agency says people who have taken the medicine and test positive again should restart their isolation period for 5 full days. The guidance also applies to Paxlovid users who do have symptoms during a rebound. The agency also recommends wearing a mask for 10 days after symptoms return. How fast a person walks may be the newest indicator as to whether one has a high risk for dementia. In a newly published study, researchers followed nearly 17,000 adults over the age of 65 for 7 years. They found patients who walked at least 5% slower with each passing year were at a higher risk of dementia. Researchers say that speed decline may be associated with a part of the brain associated with memory. That part of the brain is the hippocampus. Studies have found that aerobic exercises can increase some of the function of the hippocampus as we age. To the war in Ukraine now, President Biden will announce the 11th package of U.S. security assistance to Ukraine later today. Biden wrote in an op-ed for the New York Times the U.S. will send more advanced rocket systems and munitions to the country. He says the new arms shipment will enable Ukraine to strike key targets more precisely. Officials say the system being shipped have munitions that will allow Ukraine to launch rockets about 49 miles. Air surveillance radar, anti-tank weapons, helicopters, tactical vehicles, and spare parts will also be sent. The United States and Tunisia have reached a new agreement that will bring the remains of thousands of American soldiers home. The remains are in a cemetery for more than 2,800 American soldiers killed in the North African campaign of World War II. Many of their remains are not identified. A memorial on the grounds also bears the name of more than 3,700 service members who went missing in action and were never found. Opening statements are today in a civil case against Bill Cosby. The accusations are from a woman who says the comedian forced her to perform sexual acts at the Playboy Mansion in 1976 when she was just 16. Cosby is not on the witness list, and his attorneys say he does not plan to attend the trial. It's not a criminal case, so there's no possibility of prison time for Cosby. Earlier, he was convicted in a criminal sex crime trial in Pennsylvania and spent 3 years in prison, but a judge overturned the outcome and freed him. The Indiana State Fair released the first wave of free fair concerts this morning. Kansas performs opening day July 29th on the free stage. Shaka Khan comes to town August 3rd. Zach Williams is set for August 14th. The Happy Together Tour returns August 17th. And Carly Pierce performs August 19th. Seating is always first come, first serve. And finally to South Bend, where a new casino hotel is set to open next year. This is according to our partners at Inside Indiana Business. The Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians says construction on the 23-story hotel is set to wrap up later this year. Leaders first announced the project in September of 2019, but the pandemic had other plans, delayed it. The project includes extra slot machines, table games, and a new conference and event center. The Pokagon Band expects the hotel and casino expansion to create up to 400 jobs. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.